superintendents do anyway?
So what do superintendents do anyway? Well, I'm new in my job, so I am still figuring that out myself. We answer a lot of phone calls. I go to a lot of meetings. So I go to meetings on budgets or on construction or on reading materials or on testing and how everybody's doing. I also get to go to school sites, which is my favorite part. I get to go out to school sites and visit classrooms and see teachers and see staff, and especially get to see kids like you and get to see students learning. And that's what this job really should be all about. That's my absolute favorite part of what superintendents do.
Why did you become an educator?
I became an educator. It really stemmed from what I didn't want to do. So I started out in college as a pre-law major. I was going into criminal justice, and I followed around the district attorney for a couple of days, and I was really taking a lot of criminal justice classes and realized at that point in a person's life, they've made some mistakes that are really hard to recover from. And it was pivotal for me in thinking about what could I do to make a difference. So I changed my path, and I decided maybe I can make a difference at the beginning of that person's life and help steer them to prevent that from happening. So I really became an educator to make a difference, or to help make a difference. I just feel very fortunate that I chose education, and I'm just blessed to have had this over 30-year career, and I wouldn't change that for a second.
Tell me about a teacher who had an impact on your life and how that inspired you to become an educator.
I had many teachers that were very good to me as I was going through school, but a teacher that really had an impact, his name was Mr. Ross. And Mr. Ross was my 6th grade teacher, and Mr. Ross was really the first person that ever talked to me about the possibility of college. College wasn't really something that we talked about in my family, or that it was a career path or a path that I would take. So Mr. Ross really talked to me about that, and he told me that I could go to college, and I knew that we really couldn't afford something like that, but it was the first time that ever seeds were planted in my head that it might be a possibility. And I'm just very thankful that Mr. Ross planted those initial seeds for me.
How do you inspire teachers and staff members to create a positive environment for students?
Well, I think it's students like you that inspire teachers to be positive for students. It's not about me necessarily inspiring staff. It's staff feeling intrinsically rewarded by what they're doing. And I believe that all educators do that, or they wouldn't go into the field. So feeling inspired by the job that they do, whether it's serving students lunches, or it's cleaning their classrooms, or it's driving their bus, or it's teaching kids, it's really is an internal inspiration that educators get by the energy that students like you provide.
What was your favorite subject in school? Mine was reading. I'm really good at it.
Mine wasn't reading. I actually really liked math, and I still really like math, which is probably kind of a good thing because I'm doing a lot of math in my job right now. But I really liked school. I liked all aspects of school, and I liked PE too. I really had fun playing kickball. So yeah, I loved school. I'm glad you do too.
And what do you do in your free time?
In my free time, I like to just kind of organize everything in my head of what's been happening at work. I like doing that. I like just writing lists and crossing things off. But I also like to play with my 2 dogs. My dogs are named Laverne and Shirley. And for people that are older like me, you'll know who they are. they're my joy. They take me home at night. I know I've got to get home to walk Laverne and Shirley. I also enjoy golfing. I am not a very good golfer, but I enjoy a walk in the park is what I think of it. And I sometimes hit the ball well and sometimes I don't, and I really try not to stress about it because I stress about many other aspects of my life. So I really try not to stress about golf, about my enjoyment time out there. One of my favorite things to do, though, I don't get to do it a lot, but I love live music. Musicians amaze me, and I really respect and admire anyone that can sing or play any instrument. And so anytime I have an opportunity to see live music, to go hear live music, I'm in.
On your tough days, what inspires you?
On my tough days, going to a kindergarten classroom inspires me. When I was a principal in another district, and I didn't have much support at the site, and there was just a lot happening, the kindergarten room was right across the walkway, and I would just go out my side door and go spend 10 or 15 minutes in a kindergarten classroom, just watching kids interact and watching the teacher read a story and just seeing the light in students' eyes. And that was like, that's why I do this job. And I still feel that way. The best part of my days is when I can get in my car and drive to a school site and get to go see students learning. And that just reminds me every single day that there can be many difficult decisions in meeting after meeting and things that are happening that feel removed from the day-to-day learning. So I'm constantly trying to remind myself and ground myself in going into classrooms, because that's why I do this job and that's why I do this work, and that's what inspires me.
Describe yourself in a hashtag.
Hashtag game day is really important to me. It means that there's an event going on. It means that we're showing up and we're doing our best. Hashtag game day really came from what we used to do in personnel. We would have big celebrations honoring Teachers of the Year, Classified Employees of the Year, huge hiring. Hiring is the most important thing we do. And game day, just we dressed in blue, and it was like a big rally that we had, if you could equate that to a high school. Hashtag your work is your worth. That was something that my dad taught me very early on, to have a strong work ethic, and that really tells who you are.
Denise, what makes you proud to lead Ceres Unified?
The thought of leading this district sometimes can be daunting, and it's a big job. There's a lot of financial decisions that need to be made, and budgetary decisions, but I have a great team around me, and I know I'm not alone. I know that between the school board and the cabinet and stakeholders that we're asking for input all the time on many different areas of the school district, that there won't be bad decisions made. So I just feel very honored, very humbled. Sometimes I look around and think, gosh, that's me. I'm supposed to be making that decision, and I'm in this position now to lead the district, and I am very proud and very humbled at the same time, and very grateful to the people that have faith in me and have the belief that we're proceeding in the right direction.